Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. As always, it's Grace, and the video that I'm going to be doing today is the no disclaimers book tag. And so I was tagged in this a little while ago by Niko'sBookReviews, who I thought his video was great for this. I'll have it linked down below along with his channel, I love his channel, so definitely go check him out. And thank you to Nico for tagging me, because I think that this is a really interesting one and I am looking forward to getting into it. The first question is, what trope in books annoys you the most? And this is the type of question where, like, I did give my answer some thought, but it feels like the type of thing where I'm gonna look back at this video and be like, oh, you forgot to mention this, like, you forgot to mention this. But the ones that I came up with, like, off the top of my head, were miscommunication, which I feel like has been said by a lot of people. Like, that's a pretty common one that people don't like, but no matter how many times I see it, it does seem to get to me every time. I just cannot stand when the only point of the conflict is that. I can abide by miscommunication being used as part of something, but if it's the whole problem, it just makes me so annoyed, and I'm like, you couldn't have come up with anything better. Like, really, this is what your entire conflict rests on. So, don't like that. But the second one that I came up with was the trope of leaving someone to protect them. And this usually happens in romantic relationships. It actually kind of falls in with the miscommunication trope as well, because it's not like, you know, open, healthy, proper communication. It's literally deciding that someone that you're with doesn't get to make the decision for themselves. You're gonna, like, I don't know, treat them badly, make them want to break up with you, whatever it is that the character does. The whole, like, oh, I'm leaving you to protect you, but I can't let you know that I'm doing that, so we have to. I hate it. It pisses me off every time. So there's that one. And then the third one, which I think is just Deus Ex Machina, but I'm gonna describe it anyway because I'm not 100% sure if I have the definition right, is literally just solutions presenting themselves out of nowhere. It is so infuriating if a book has built up to something and built up to something and you're hoping for, like, either a really satisfying reveal or, like, resolution to the problem that is actually gonna tie everything together, but nope, it is literally just this random solution that has come out of nowhere and it solves everything, and it is not satisfying at all when that happens. It can happen for smaller things and I might be okay with it. Like, it's not the type of thing that would ruin a book for me if it's used, but if it's used in a really big, important way, then it just undermines all the stuff that I was looking forward to going towards the end of a book. So that's just, like, exactly the opposite of what my experience should be when I finish a book. The second question is, which writers do you feel are overrated or overhyped? And honestly, I think that this is going to sound silly coming from me because he is, like, one of my favorite authors, but I am going to say Brandon Sanderson, just because, like, I love his books. Seriously, they are some of my favorites, and I'm also guilty of, like, hyping him up to people just because I want to share his works with, like, my friends and stuff and see whether they'll love them too. But there are definitely, like, fans in his fan base, because it has gotten so large, that cannot put it into perspective whatsoever. Like, the reality is that he is not going to be for everyone. Some people read books for, like, gorgeous prose. That is not what Brandon Sanderson does. I like that he's a really accessible writer, but his writing isn't, like, lyrical, beautiful, flowery prose. It isn't that at all. So, like, if someone likes that, they're not gonna like Brandon Sanderson just because you love him. And, like, that can apply to other aspects of his writing as well. I think that he tells great stories and I love his characters, but the fact is that, like, he's just not gonna work for everyone, and I feel like, I don't know, I almost kind of feel like a hypocrite even giving this answer because I recommend him a lot, but I can also recognize like that if someone doesn't like him, they're not wrong just because I love his books. You know what I mean? I don't know. I hope that that answer made sense. Question 3 is, what are your least favorite books that you've read since joining BookTube? And I mean, I'm still pretty new to BookTube. Like, I posted my very first video in late April, so I'm only really counting the books that I read in like maybe the second half of April, May, and June. So I do feel a little bit bad because I feel like this book has gotten dumped on from me a little bit, like, excessively, but I do have to go with The Midnight Library by Matt Haig just because, like I said, like, it's kind of a short time period that I have to work with here based on books that I've actually read since joining BookTube. And when I look at that list, that is the very clear winner or loser, I guess, for the books that I enjoyed the least. So it just wasn't executed the way that I wanted it to be. I've talked about it before, so I don't want to like continue dumping on it, but I was hoping to love it and I just didn't. So I'm sorry to The Midnight Library, but what you gonna do? Question 4. What is a terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book? So the phrasing of this question is a little dramatic. Like, I can't really think of a book that I've read recently where I was liking it up until the end and then the end was terrible, which I guess is a good thing. That means that I've been having good experiences with what I've been reading, but still the one that I settled on is Room by Emma Donoghue, just because I didn't like the way that the second half of this book went. So it's not quite just the ending. It was about like halfway or maybe 60% of the way that I didn't love. The story just wasn't what I was hoping it would be. I was expecting something different going in and then I didn't get it. It wasn't terrible. It was just very like neutral. I was liking it and then I wasn't liking it so much. Like, I don't know, I think I gave the book 3 stars because I still felt like it had redeeming qualities, but again, it just really didn't go in the direction that I wanted it to go. So that one fits the closest. Question 5. What fictional character or characters do you wish were not killed off? And when Nico told me that he was tagging me in this video, I started thinking about my answers. And then I watched Alan do this video, and when he got to this question, he literally said exactly the character that I was thinking of, and I am still going to do this without spoilers because this question is just asking for major spoilers, but also this book has been out for 25 years, and it's a Game of Thrones. So anyone who has read the book or watched the TV show, I am talking about the major character death at the end of like season 1 or book 1. And it's honestly just for selfish reasons of that I loved that character, because the plot, most of the plot, probably just straight up would not happen if this character was smart enough not to get killed. Like, I get why he was, but I just really, really liked that character, and I wish that I could have seen more from them, and I don't know, it's purely selfish reasons, but that's my answer. Question 6. What are some of your bookish pet peeves? And for the most part, I try to be of the mindset where like I can treat my books how I want and everyone else can treat their books however they want, and I try not to let it bother me. But one thing that really does bother me is if somebody borrows one of your books and then doesn't treat it well, because like I said, if someone else wants to treat their own books that way, like, it's none of my concern, or at least I try not to make it my concern, but they need to be respectful of how you like your books to be treated. So that is a huge, huge pet peeve. It's just somebody like disrespecting you like that, because I'm somebody who likes to take really, really good care of my books. So like another pet peeve of mine is breaking the spines. I absolutely hate it if I have to do that in order to like open a book, which is part of why I love floppy paperbacks so much and I don't love mass market paperbacks. It's not because I have any problem really with like the aesthetic of a mass market paperback. It's literally mostly that like when I have to open it too far, I do end up with cracks on the spine and it drives me nuts. The other low-hanging fruit that I'm gonna go for, but it does bother me, is like the Netflix stickers on the covers or movie covers. Oh my god. Like a picture of the actors on the cover will make me not buy a book. Like I could really, really want to read a book, and if that was the only copy that I could find of it, I would not buy it. And I would be like, okay, guess I'm not gonna read it then until I can find another copy of it. I hate it so much. So there's that. But then going back to like how you actually treat your books, I'm oddly fine with like annotating and writing in books. I don't do it myself, but for some reason, like unlike breaking spines or dog-earing pages, I don't care if people write in their books. I think it's kind of fun. Like if you see like a passage that you really love and you want to make a note of it, I think that kind of like enhances your experience. But this is about pet peeves, not about things that I like. So anyway, question 7 is, what are some books that you feel should have more recognition? And this is actually a really tough question for me because I still feel like I'm pretty new to getting back into fantasy, and the series that I've been reading so far have been like some of the most popular ones. So I don't really have an answer of like a diamond in the rough book where like truly nobody else knows about it, but I think that it deserves more recognition. So one I ended up settling on is The Gentleman Bastards, just because out of the series that I have read so far, I do feel like that one flies under the radar a little bit more than the others, and I absolutely love it. So I do think that it deserves more attention. Question 8, and the last question in the tag, is what are your thoughts on censorship and banning books? And I think that if we're talking about like society-wide censorship, I definitely disagree with it, because people should be able to have access to any kind of information that they want. Like I get that there are going to be viewpoints that people disagree with, but I think that like it's important to educate yourself on both sides of most issues, and even if you can't see the other side's perspective, it's like it's not as though the world should only have the information that you agree with. I think that that's very dangerous to start to think in that mindset. But in terms of banning or censoring books on like a smaller scale, I just think it's kind of dumb, because in this day and age, it's like if somebody wants to find a way to read that book, they are gonna go find a way to read the book. And like the internet exists, so even if you can't get a copy of a book, you can see what people say about it, you can get plot summaries or something like that. So I just think that I understand like maybe an individual parent being like, oh, I don't really want my child to read this material, but I think that that would maybe be more of an age-appropriate thing or something like that. I just am not in support of like censoring books in general. So I think that there is discussion to be had about that, but I do think that it is a little bit useless, like I said, because if somebody really wants that information, like there's gonna be a way for them to find it, and it's not really gonna stop them. So those are my answers from this tag, and the people that I'm gonna tag for this video are Book Reading Coffee Drinking, whose channel honestly deserves more subscribers. Every time I watch one of her videos, I love her commentary on books. We don't necessarily read the same things, but I just really enjoy her like personality, the way that it comes through in her videos. So I am really interested to see her answers to this question. And then the second person that I am going to tag is Joanna Souza from her channel that is just her name. And she is one of the kindest people that I have encountered on BookTube. She is fantastic. She's been so welcoming, and I'm loving getting to know her more and buddy reading with her, and she is just like, honestly, I think one of the kindest people on this platform. So kind of ironic, because this is probably like a controversial tag, or your answers are meant to be controversial, but I am looking forward to seeing what Joanna comes up with for this, because I really love her channel and her videos. So those are the two people that I'm going to tag. And please let me know your thoughts down in the comments on my answers, whether you agree or disagree, what you think. And so that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!